Thief, Adventurer, X-Men. Ever since the mutant known as Gambit exploded onto the scene, the X-Men haven't been the same, and even though his mischievous nature might get him in trouble at times, Gambit has always been a loyal and powerful member of the team. In this episode of Tony's Comic Spotlight, we celebrate the first full appearance in continuity of the raging Cajun known as Gambit, shining the spotlight on Uncanny X-Men issue number 266 from 1990. Gambit, out of the frying pan. The Shadow King has the Hounds attack Storm, but she evades them. He attacks her telepathically, but she retaliates with a lightning bolt, stunning him. Rattled, she falls off a balcony into a pool. She crawls out to see another thief walking towards her. With Dr. Shen's aid, the King regroups and sends the Hounds after Storm again. Aboard Nanny's ship, Orphan Maker ignores an alarm indicating Storm has been detected, shocking Nanny. When her equipment detects the Shadow King as well, Nanny shows Orphan Maker what the King will do to Storm and insists they must save her. Meanwhile, the thief plans to take the art Storm intended to steal, but decides instead to aid her against the Hounds with his power to charge objects with explosive energy. Upon saving her, he introduces himself as Gambit. Dr. Shen finds them, and Gambit starts to talk past her, but the Shadow King assaults his mind. Storm tells the King to stop, but cannot summon her powers, and he lashes out at her. Gambit charges a plate and throws it at the King, setting off a small blast. Storm then uses her powers to fill the room with soot from the fireplace, and she and Gambit flee to the roof. The Hounds chase them, but they escape when Storm inflates a parachute with wind and carries Gambit away. She takes him to her aircraft boneyard hideout and explains how the Shadow King controls and corrupts people. At Freedom Force headquarters in Washington, D.C., Valerie Cooper finds Mystique waiting for her. As she holds Mystique at gunpoint, Mystique reveals that Destiny left a letter foretelling this would happen. Then Cooper pulls the trigger. Technically, Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit, first appears in Uncanny X-Men Annual number 14, but the story in this issue and the next take place before the story in the annual. Consequently, this issue is considered Gambit's first chronological appearance. Gambit has a second power. The kinetic touch is just one ability of Gambit's and is most iconic, but he actually has a psychic ability. Most assume that his charming personality is often what wins people, and it is, but not in an expected way. Gambit can use natural charisma to give off a hypnotic force to influence people, similar to a Jedi mind trick. This mild telepathic ability also protects him, as Remy has passive protection against other telepaths. Charles Xavier himself, one of Marvel's most powerful psychic mutants, even struggles in probing Remy's mind, referring to it as holding on to snakes. He tried to avoid a war by marrying someone, and it was not Rogue. Most people see Gambit's love life and know he's been with Rogue for most of his career as a member of the X-Men. What they may not realize was that he was once married to the daughter of the head of the Assassins Guild in Louisiana. At the time, he was a member of the Thieves Guild, who were rivals to the Assassins Guild. Since he believed he owed them his life, he wanted to do the right thing by his guild. At the time, things were looking like they were headed towards a war. To avoid the war, he agreed to marry Belladonna Boudreaux. That said, the marriage clearly did not last. Gambit was orphaned by his own family. A sad fate for many mutants is that their gifts make them outcasts from friends and even family. Remy LeBeau was born with blood-red eyes that gave him the appearance of being demonic. As a result, Remy was put up as a baby, leaving him no memories of his birth family. Remy was stolen as an infant by a member of a group of rogues known as the Thieves Guild. He would be raised as one of them, becoming one of the best thieves in the world. This was thanks to his natural skills, powers, and a little bit of charm that didn't hurt. He quit smoking. There was a time when Remy was rarely seen without a cigarette at least once per comic, but now he's never seen smoking. It's a less than appealing habit, but there actually isn't an in-canon reason for this. It was simply a result of when Joe Quesada was editor-in-chief at Marvel. Joe Quesada started a new policy that essentially vetoed the act of smoking by any Marvel superheroes, so Gambit went from one of Marvel Comics' heaviest smokers to quitting completely within months. Even James Logan Howlett, aka Wolverine, famous for his cigars, is hardly ever seen smoking. Gambit loves Star Trek and Harry Potter. Falling in the same vein as Blue Beetle from DC or even Spider-Man in Marvel, Remy is actually a proud nerd at heart. This was showcased when the X-Men crossed over in the Star Trek universe, which made Gambit turn into a little kid. Apparently, Star Trek exists as a television show in the Marvel Universe, and Remy is a big fan of it. So seeing the likes of the famous Captain James T. Kirk in the USS Enterprise makes Gambit light up like a tree. That's not all. Remy has also expressed his love for the wizarding world of Harry Potter. The man is a natural cook. Being a Creole born and raised in Louisiana, it's practically in Remy's blood that he can make a good meal. Though it is mainly shown in animated shows, Gambit has been seen in the kitchen in the comics. It's not just a chore to him either. Gambit openly expresses his love for the culinary arts. On a team like the X-Men, which features Wolverine, Beast, and even Deadpool on occasion, Gambit likely becomes one of the valued members due to his cooking alone. Remy is more powerful than expected. Gambit's powers are most famously seen as him filling either his staff or playing card with kinetic energy. Those are just his preferred choices, but he can actually use this kinetic energy on anything except organics to make them powered or into explosives for him to use. He even used this to help destroy a zombified Galactus in Marvel Zombies. Even his playing cards are deceptive. Gambit is able to control how powerful each card is, usually sticking to strong but non-lethal amounts of energy. If he wanted to, Gambit could easily endue enough energy into a card that could kill a person with one hit. Remy also agreed to be one of the four horsemen of Apocalypse. Once again, it's important to remember that Gambit isn't always a hero. He's more of an anti-hero like Deadpool or Wolverine, or at the very least, he knows how to play a damn good one. During one saga in the X-Men comic book series, Gambit agreed to be one of the four horsemen heralding Apocalypse's rise to power. This saga is considered to be a real cornerstone when it comes to showing Gambit's cunning. In this comic book arc, people were under the impression that Gambit felt unliked in the crew and likely turned to Apocalypse under the belief that he would be more recognized as the Horseman of Death. Gambit actually joined to infiltrate Apocalypse's team. He wasn't fully aware of the transformation that being a horseman would have on his soul, though. He was able to resist a full transformation by thinking about Rogue. Gambit struggles with his morality. There is no doubt that Gambit is a good person, but like any human, he can make wrong choices and struggle with his morality. He began as a thief, and that was always stuck with him, even to the point of betraying the X-Men multiple times. From becoming Apocalypse's Horseman of Death to temporarily joining the villains during the Messiah complex storyline, in the end, Remy usually makes up for it and has even been put on trial for his wrongdoings, but he always bounces back to the X-Men in the end. Gambit is one of the few fighters that can beat Wolverine. They aren't enemies, but there is a friendly rivalry between Remy and Logan, leading to them sparring with each other. Shockingly, Wolverine has lost several fights against Gambit, much to the Canadians' chagrin. This friendship would even cross over with Logan's daughter X-23, making for one of the best X-Men's friendships. Gambit may not have the adamantium skeleton and natural affinity for battle, but he does have wit. Gambit uses Wolverine's flaws against him, such as his anger, rashness, and being stuck with short-range fighting. That's not to say Wolverine hasn't had his fair share of victories as well. Thank you everybody for taking the time to watch this video as we took a look at Uncanny X-Men 266. This was one of my favorite stories because Gambit is my favorite X-Men character of all time. I really love the character. Maybe it has something to do with my affinity for French or Cajun culture, but I've always really gravitated towards Gambit. So this one was fun to do. If you're enjoying the content, please consider liking and subscribing and ringing the bell for future content. I want to thank everybody for watching this video or any of my videos. It really does mean a lot to me, so thank you. Nominations for the CBC Awards are still in full swing. You have until August 5th to go to www.cbcawards.org to cast your votes for your favorite, to cast nominations for your favorite YouTube content creators. Give them a nomination because they really do deserve it. In the description box below, I'll be posting some links to some other YouTube content creators. You should check out their stuff and give them a like as well. They put out awesome content all the time, so you should check them out. Tomorrow night for Into the Comiverse, we are at episode 4. Originally, this was going to be an open topic, but I decided that the topic is going to be about the life and legacy of Bruce Lee, one of the greatest martial artists of all time. Just a couple of days ago on Thursday was the 50th anniversary of his passing. So I'm going to take this episode and we're going to discuss what we loved about Bruce Lee, whether it be his movies, his philosophy, or whatever. So that should be a lot of fun. It'll be Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And next week for Tony's Comic Book Spotlight, we're going to do the spotlight on the first appearance of the Autobots and the Decepticons in comic book form. Yes, we'll be doing Transformers #1 from Marvel Comics from 1984. So that will be a treat. So until next time, take it easy, be safe, and God bless. See ya.